You know that Harvey Weinstein threatened Peter Jackson with giving Quentin Tarantino the Lord of the Rings franchise and condensing it into one film, and that's one of the many reasons that Gothmog was modeled after Weinstein himself. In 1995, Peter Jackson, an often forgotten integral piece of getting these movies made, Fran Walsh, went to Miramax and first pitched the idea for the Lord of the Rings film. The pitch was to have three movies, the first of which would be The Hobbit, the second of which would be the first half of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and the second movie would wrap up the story. At the time, the rights for the Lord of the Rings were with Saul Zaentz, the man who had produced the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings film. Weinstein knew Zaentz from the English patient. He was able to get the rights to the Lord of the Rings, but not to The Hobbit, so they decided to move forward with just the Lord of the Rings to work with. Jackson still liked the idea of having three movies to tell the stories of these three books, but Weinstein pushed back and said you can only have two. One of the things is, when they lined up this two-film deal, Weinstein only allowed $75 million for both of these films combined to be made. He would not allow Jackson to know the amount of money that he was actually being given for the films because he wanted to keep him on. He knew that they couldn't be made well splitting $75 million between the two, but he didn't really care. He just wanted them to be made and to print money. This was all happening in 1996 and 1997 as they were getting ready. In 1998, they passed down the directive to make this one film. Miramax memo from 1998 called for a more radical, streamlined approach. It was going to be one 2-hour-long movie. Weinstein got angry at Jackson, saying, hey, if you don't want to do this, I'll bring in another director like Quentin Tarantino. Negotiations here were so awful and this process was so stressful, Jackson begged Weinstein to please let him shop this around and just go somewhere else. In 1998, New Line Cinema got on board and they bought out Miramax. All in all, 3 years of time had been wasted for Peter Jackson with Miramax trying to get this movie made. The big problems with Miramax was Weinstein wanted a lot of control over the casting. Ideas floated were Daniel Day-Lewis as Aragorn or Morgan Freeman himself as Gandalf. Peter Jackson and his team had very different ideas about the casting, and thankfully they were able to get their choices when they went to New Line. I tell you how happy I am that Harvey Weinstein did not get his grubby little hands on the Lord of the Rings. The people fighting the good fight on the front lines in any way possible was Peter Jackson. 1998, as the one film approach was being pushed, he had them leak the two separate scripts to the internet to show that people would like the story being told in that way. And Peter Jackson and his lawyers busted their ass. They fought tooth and nail against Harvey Weinstein and Miramax to get this done. They were given a chance to shop it to other places. They were given 4 weeks to do so, which is insane. Miramax had already spent like $15 million on these movies. They were told that the new studio would have to buy out those costs. Also told that Miramax and Disney needed to get a small percentage of the revenue. These two people together, they came up with the beautiful 35-minute long pitch of their ideas and how this could work. The studios in Hollywood were not on board, but thankfully New Line Cinema's CEO Robert Shea was a fan of Tolkien himself. Because he was actually a passionate fan, it was Shea's idea to make this 3 films since there were 3 books, and he gave that idea in that first meeting, which Peter Jackson was thrilled with, immediately said yes. All this to say, Harvey Weinstein is a pig. He is a pig as a man, he is a pig creatively, he is a pig in every possible way someone can be a pig. Everything about how Miramax acted here was just about control, had nothing to do with creativity. They did not care about Tolkien's creative vision, did not care about telling the stories properly. They just wanted to make it cheap, throw together some slop, and put it out there. All I can say is thank God that did not happen, and thank God we did not get a fucking Quentin Tarantino movie to tell this entire story.